All right, today we're going to talk about why giving your ex space works. Now, a lot of times when people come to our YouTube channel and hear about our concept of giving an ex space and how that can actually make them want to come back to you, they immediately assume we're talking about the no contact rule. And it's easy to understand why. The no contact rule, this period of time where you're ignoring your ex on purpose, essentially it is the ultimate form of giving an ex space. But what if I were to tell you that there's actually a different reason for why we have found giving ex space works? But in order for you to understand it, we need to kind of give you a little bit of a primer on attachment styles. Now, for years, people in our private Facebook support group were telling me, Chris, you need to look into attachment styles. Chris, study attachment styles. And me being kind of an idiot, it took me a very long time before I got around to actually considering it seriously. But when I did, it was kind of like a bunch of light bulbs went off. So what are attachment styles? Well, I've always viewed attachment styles as this quick cheat sheet to understand how we react to conflict in relationships. In other words, our upbringing, our experience growing up, our parents, our childhood all inform our attachment style, basically how we're going to handle relationships in general. And generally speaking, there's 4 main attachment styles that we talk about. And I promise you, if you understand these attachment styles, it will help you understand why giving exes space is such a good idea. Real quick, I want to say that if you're new to this YouTube channel or you're trying to figure out what you should be doing to get your ex back and you're trying to learn if you even have a chance in your specific circumstance, probably the smartest thing for you to do is actually stop by our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, or take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz that can be found at exboyfriendrecovery.com. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, taking that free quiz is super easy to do. All you have to simply do is look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on the link you see there. It will take you directly to the quiz where you can fill it out and get an easy answer on what you should be doing going forward and overall what your chances look like in your specific situation. All right, so let's get you back to the video. So what are the 4 attachment styles? Well, you have anxious, avoidant, fearful, and secure. Let's kind of go down the line and talk about what each one of these is. Let's start with the anxious attachment style. Well, people who are anxious show an excessive worry about the closeness of their relationships. They always seem to be afraid that the relationship won't last, or their partner will be unfaithful, or they will somehow reject them in one way or another. A lot of our clients tend to exhibit anxious tendencies. You know, they'll be the type of person that will blow their ex's phone up after a breakup, the opposite of giving their ex space, because they want to fix things so badly. They care about relationships arguably more than any of the other attachment styles. So in a weird way, anxious attachment styles are kind of cool, but in another way, they're way too much and turn all of the other attachment styles off. Next, we have avoidant. This is an important one to keep your eye on because we're going to talk about this a lot. So avoidant attachment styles, well, the calling card here is a lack of intimacy. They'll either avoid it altogether or they'll keep their partners at a distance. A lot of people think that someone with an avoidant attachment will avoid relationships altogether, but this is not true. They do form relationships. They simply find ways of staying distant within the confines of that relationship. You see this a lot when it comes to expressing emotions or dealing with conflict. They'll withdraw or simply avoid it. So we have found that a lot of our clients tend to be anxious and a lot of their exes tend to be avoidant. So you can imagine what a volatile cocktail this partnering is. You have one person who cares way too much about relationships, and you have the other person who wants a relationship, but they are scared of intimacy. They are scared of being emotionally close to you. And as a result, boom, fireworks, and a breakup occurs. Hence the existence for this channel. Now, that doesn't mean that all of our clients exhibit avoidant tendencies or anxious tendencies, but we have found that to be the trend. Then we have fearful attachment styles. Now, fearful attachment styles is kind of this weird combination of both anxious and avoidant. I actually personally think a lot of people say, well, my ex is fearful. They aren't really understanding what they're talking about. Now, I am not a trained psychological professional that I can sit here and diagnose what your ex's attachment style is, but we can look at what their behaviors are like. So here's what we know about fearful attachment styles. Only 7% of the entire population has them, so they are extremely rare. In other words, there's a 93% chance that your ex is not a fearful style. So what do fearful attachment styles do? Well, simply put, what they end up doing is both a combination of anxious behaviors and another combination of avoidant behaviors. So one minute they will be so in your face about getting things done or fixing the relationship, and the next minute they will want nothing to do with you. They'll get annoyed with you, they'll ignore you, and you're just kind of left trying to understand what is wrong with your ex. They're exhibiting such crazy hot and cold signs. And then finally, we have the secure attachment, which is kind of like the holy grail of attachment styles. So secure individuals show a healthy balance of healthy attachment behavior on the one hand and healthy exploratory behaviors on the other hand in intimate relationships. It's clear that they are comfortable with closeness and mutual dependency. They actively seek emotional support from their partners and can actively initiate and give emotional support to their partners. They are comfortable being alone. So in a relationship, what you always want to have happen is be working towards secure attachment style. Now this is kind of where the space aspect comes into play. As I stated earlier in the video, we believe that a lot of our clients seem to be turning their exes off because of their anxious behaviors. We also believe that a lot of their exes seem to be avoidant tendency people. Right? And so what's interesting is when you actually look at avoidance and how long it takes them to miss you and why they miss you or think the way they do, it kind of messes with your mind. And this is like the coolest thing. When I learned about this, I've been repeating it from the rooftops in every single video. So here's how avoidant attachment styles kind of look at missing you. So an avoidant attachment style really will not miss you immediately after the breakup. And one of the worst things you can do with someone who has this attachment style is constantly peck at them and try to get them to respond and blow their phone up, because what are they going to do? They'll withdraw from that. They don't like that. But if you take the opposite approach, if you actually give them space, something interesting happens. Now you have to be patient, and this is really hard for anxious people. But if you are patient, here's how avoidant attachment styles begin to long and miss you. See, an avoidant style person is only going to miss you or long for you or romanticize the past of breakup if they think there's no chance the two of you will ever get back together. That's the only time that they will give themselves permission to begin missing you. This helpfully explains how space can be such an effective method for getting exes back. So basically, let's break it down. If you are exhibiting anxious behaviors and you are constantly pestering your ex for a response, trying to fix things, begging for them back, the reason it does not work, especially if there are avoidant tendencies within your ex, is it turns them off. They don't want that level of closeness. They don't want that level of intimacy. They are not capable currently of it. So they withdraw from you. They block you. They ghost you. They want nothing to do with you. And it's only after enough time has gone by and they think you've moved on. That's an important part of it, but we're not going to talk so much about that in this video. Only after they think you've moved on will they give themselves permission to miss you. So what's the play? How do you handle that? Well, here's kind of an interesting concept that we've begun talking about. It's not necessarily original, but it's something that we have been trying to coin as original. And what I mean by that is we believe there is a gravity that exists between secure attachment styles and all of the other insecure attachment styles. Now, what do I mean by that? All right, think of it like this. If an avoidant personality gets into a relationship with a secure personality, that secure person will draw them more towards secure behaviors. Because guess what? They're okay with being alone. They're okay with giving their partner space. And that space is appreciated, and they feel, the avoidant person at least, can feel like, oh, I can retain my independence. Same thing with anxious behaviors. A secure person will be okay being vulnerable in a relationship and trying to give an anxious person what they need, but also setting a clear boundary and say, hey, this is not normal, in a nice way, of course. And that anxious person begins to, guess what, exhibit more secure tendencies. So a lot of the time we focus all of our efforts in these odd ways of trying to help you exhibit more secure tendencies. One of the reasons we implement the space aspect of using a no contact rule is to help you with this. Not only can it help your ex miss you and make them long for you simply by giving them space, especially if they're exhibiting avoidant tendencies, but it can also help you give you enough time to heal and become more secure and obtain that gravity so that you're pulling them towards you simply by being awesome. Now, I know this was kind of a very technical video, and sometimes that turns people off, but if you really want to understand why space works and why giving your ex space can be effective, we need to understand the psychology of what goes behind that. But I encourage you to research all of this on your own. And probably the best place to do that is actually on our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com. And the first thing you should always do at our website is take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz. It's a simple, free 2-minute quiz designed to basically tell you what kind of chance you have of getting your ex back, so you know whether or not you're wasting your time or you should be simply moving on. The perfect starting place, and all you got to do is simply look in the description link below this YouTube video and click the link you see there.